Okay, so hello and welcome to the second webinar in our UK-Russia collaboration series. Today, we are going to have a selection of talks from different organisations about funding and networking opportunities. First, just a few announcements. The webinar is being supported by a simultaneous translator, and you have the options of joining the webinar in both English and Russian language formats. You can access your preferred language from the meeting controls bar on the screen. We do ask that once you've sort of selected your language, you don't switch between the different language options. The webinar is being recorded in both Russian and English, and the recordings will be available soon after on our website. If you missed our last webinar, that's now available on the recordings for that are now available on our website. To keep the discussion in an ethical manner, we are using the Apex Code of Conduct. And finally, we do ask that unless you are presenting or asking questions, that you keep your camera off and your microphone muted. When it is time for questions, you can either ask them by raising your hand or typing a question in the chat box. Today, we've got three presentations from an international funding and networking organisation and from UK and Russia-based funding organisations. Each presentation is going to be up to about 15 minutes long, and there will be time for plenty of questions after each presentation. So without any further ado, we'll invite our first speaker for this session, Margareta Johansson from the Department of Physical Geography and Ecosystem Science at Lund University. And today, Margareta is going to be introducing us to the Interact project. So over to you, Margareta.
Thank you ever so much. And first of all, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. And thank you for inviting me to talk about some possibilities for early career and senior researchers. I know a few of you have been listening to me many times, but I think of it as the safety instructions on airplanes. You know, all of us know where the exits are, don't we, after all those repetition. And I hope that this Interact talks will also sort of stay in your mind when you hear it many times and that you won't get bored. Anyhow, Interact. I assume that most of you know, just to be on the safe side, that it is a network of terrestrial research stations. There is currently 89 research stations in the network, and they are, as you see on the map, distributed throughout the Arctic. All the research stations are presented on our website, so you can go and have a look there. There is also an station catalog, which we call the travel magazine for scientists, that you can go and visit and see where you will spend your next summer, or whatever time of the year you would like to do your research, of course. And then finally, there is a card game where you can learn more about the different research stations, about the facilities and the environment around in a very easily accessible way. We have an Interact GIS system where you can go and have a look at what research and monitoring that is ongoing at the different research stations, to make sure that you don't want to do something that someone else has already done, or or get inspired by what other people are doing, etc. And then in addition to that, there is also a catalog book that was produced a couple of years ago that is available on our website that you can have a look at. But if I give you the very brief version of what Interact is, it's an infrastructure project in Horizon 2020. So it's an EU-funded project that lasts for 4 years. It started the 1st of January last year. So we have been running for almost 2 years. It has 63 partners. So it's a big consortia with many partners, as you can see. And we have a total budget of 10 million euros. And out of those 10 million euros, we spend half of it, 5 million euros, on sending people to the Arctic through something called transnational access. And this means that you can, as a scientist, apply to go to different research stations in the Arctic. The only thing is that you cannot apply to go within your own country. And of course, if you come from Russia, for example, this could be quite unfair if you think about the distance in Russia, but that is how it works. So, and I mean, it's the same for Canada if you think of the land area. So you have to go abroad. But if you like to go abroad and do research, then you can apply to do that. And then you will get the travel and the accommodation for free from Interact. You can go at a maximum of 90-day per user group, and we have an annual call, which I will tell you a little bit more about soon. But so far, we have sent more than 1,000 scientists to the field, and this quite blurred map shows where they come from and where they are going to, the scientists. So the maps are, or not the maps, the flags are where the research stations are located, and the dots are where the researchers come from. Of course, when there's a lot of science done, then there is also output, and there is more than 250 peer-reviewed publications, and more is in line, ongoing. And especially, I mean, COVID has, of course, impacted not only people going to the field, but also people being able to analyze results. So we have had scientists that have been to the field and then come back, and then they're not allowed in their labs because of COVID. So we know that this number will grow substantially the coming years. We think we are contributing a little bit to science diplomacy as well. We have access to all of the Arctic, and this is something that has nothing to do with political situations or anything, which is nice. We are working with research stations, and we are aiming to get environmental data from the Arctic accessible. That's lovely. And then we have had some unique findings, and this little guy, Bombus interactus, and Interactive was actually named after Interact project from a transnational AXO user group. So if you're considering applying to go to do some research, then you know the standards. We would like to have a species named after us. No, you're most welcome to come anyhow. You can read about projects that have been funded in this Arctic Stories of Arctic Science that was published in 2015. And then in 2020, we had a new version of this in Stories of Arctic Science 2. We also have an Interact ebook that is available at interactsciencestories.org, where you can read all the stories, but also more educational material and other things. So please visit that if you haven't done it already, because there is a wealth of information there. In addition to this transnational access, when scientists go from their home institute to do research in the Arctic, we also have a modality that's called remote access. That means that the scientists are not doing the research themselves, but it is actually the staff at the station that does it for the researcher. So it can be, if it's an easy setup, if it's something that don't require your special skill, but digging down a tea bag with litter or whatever, something like that you can explain, then you can use this modality. And this modality has, of course, been very helpful during the COVID time, but also very helpful when it comes to reducing our environmental impact. Because, of course, when we are flying to the Arctic, we are contributing to what we should not contribute to, as little as possible, at least. And then it's very cost efficient to have remote access. In addition to remote access, there is also something called virtual access. And this is where you can go online to the Interact data portal, and then you can download data sets. So if you're a modeler, for example, you might want some data for ground validation, then you need real data. And that is what you can find in this data portal. I was invited to talk a little bit about opportunities. So there is an open call now that closes on the 30th of November. Plenty of time, 5 days. But there is actually, it's not a huge task to apply to go for this transnational access. And of course, we encourage you to apply for this. There are 47 stations that are offering transnational access in this call. It depends a little bit from call to call if the research stations are available or not. But now there are 47 stations. There are 30 stations that are offering this remote access modality where the staff at the research station is doing the work for you. And because this is a Russian-UK meeting, then I just wanted to highlight that there are actually 13 Russian stations that are contributing to this transnational access. And there are 2 UK stations in the call, one in UK itself and then one on Svalbard. But if you are considering doing fieldwork in the Arctic, then please have a look at this website and see if we can arrange the trip for you. And then I just wanted to show you, if you want to go to the field and do field, that we have the Station Managers Forum, which has produced really nice, there are more than, as I said, 89 station managers, and they have a lot of knowledge and wisdom. And when you put that together, you get nice handbooks, as simple as that. So we have put together a fieldwork planning handbook, that this is something you read when you're at home. How do I plan my fieldwork? And then you have a practical field guide that you can bring to the field. And then we have some more other books as well that you can please have a look at our website. There is many publications and just they're available online. So please have a look and see if there is something that could be useful to you. Then I just wanted to show this Images of Arctic Science, which was a book that was produced last year. We were trying to describe what's going on in the field work in the Arctic, but with only photos rather than with words. And it was a photo competition where many scientists around everywhere was sending in photos, and it ended up being a very nice coffee table book. So please have a look at that as well. I think that's all for me. Thank you very much. But please visit our website if you are interested in, or if you need any information. But we are also on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. So don't forget to like. Thank you very much.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Margareta. Very interesting. So open up to questions now. If anyone has a question, feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself, or you can type it in the chat box. I think I'll start off with a question then. It sounds like a really excellent network, very useful network to have. But I just wondered, is Interact able to put scientists who are applying for these access to these stations in touch with local researchers who might have knowledge to help them with their fieldwork?
Yeah. So this is for collaboration, you mean, or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, collaboration.
Yes. I mean, first of all, we have something called TA User Group. So people that are applying for transnational access, there is a Facebook group for that as well, so that you can network within that. There's also something called TA Ambassadors, and these are the former transnational access users that can sort of help the new users with all the different aspects of the work. And then in addition to that, then of course we have direct contact with all the research station leaders, and they are the ones who have got the overview of who is doing what at the different research stations. So when you are applying for to go to this transnational access, then first we have a scientific evaluation. That's number one. So you need to ask to do good science. We won't fund bad science, but if you have a good project, then it will of course be evaluated. And then at the next stage, it goes to the station managers, who are the ones that decide whether the project. So we give a recommendation to the station man that this should be funded or this should not be funded. And then it is up to the research station manager to decide in the end what will happen, because of course it can be that you have suggested something that has already been done at the research station, or something you applied to do glacier monitoring, and there is no glacier at the station. I mean, hopefully you have done your homework and figured out that there was no glacier, but things like that could, so there I'm just making sure. So I hope that was some sort of answer to your question.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks.
Have we got any other questions?
Hi, Margareta. I was just going to ask whether there are any plans to, in the future, to expand the network beyond terrestrial stations, because stations like the UK station, we're a part of Interact, and that's fantastic. but we also support kind of marine science as well as terrestrial science. I'm wondering whether there's any pressure from within or outside to, expand what Interact does. I'm not trying to give you more work, but
exactly. I was sort of, oh, what are you thinking? No, we took a decision quite a long time ago. Quite a long time ago, when we started with Interact, because Interact came from Scanet, that was terrestrial, 9 stations around the North Atlantic 20 years ago. But then when we were going from that to Interact, we actually took a decision that we wanted to stay focused on terrestrial research sites. And as you know, we're 89 research stations, which are very many. And of course, if you're going to include marine or also atmospheric research stations that are pure atmospheric research stations, then you end up being a very, very big network. So I think, we would be happy to contribute to networks like that. But I think for now, at least, I would like to keep it terrestrial. Then we see what happens in the future. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Is there anyone else for another question? No? If not, we'll say thank you very much to Margareta. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. And I'm sorry for being rude and leaving you now, but I need to go to the meeting now. So
that's quite all right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care. We have an Interact annual meeting. That's why I need to go. So take care. And thank you very much for inviting me.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye.
So next, we're going on to our next presentation for today. Our next speakers are from UK-based organisations. So joining us, we have Tatiana Iakovleva from the Science and Innovation Network at the British Embassy in Moscow, and Henry Burgess, the head of the NERC Arctic office. So over to you, Henry.
That's great. Thanks, Ben. Can you see the screen okay?
Yeah, we can.
Brilliant. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And so this is a joint presentation by myself and my colleague Tatiana from the UK Science Innovation Network in Russia. And we'll be talking about some practical examples of cooperation that have happened recently, but also some further opportunities and things to think about for the future. And if you take away one thing from this presentation, please take away the sense of kind of optimism and capacity that we have to support future collaborations going forward, because that's very much what both of our organizations exist to do. So if you have good ideas or good thoughts, please do let us know. We're here to support you in the ways that we can. So I'll say a little bit about what we do in the NERC Arctic office first. We're basically here to promote UK Arctic scientists, scientists based in the UK, in developing international partnerships and in working in the Arctic. We also have links to policy and decision makers in the UK, but also we link to wider institutions as well. And we also support the UK's Arctic station in the Ålesund in Svalbard, which I'll say a little bit more about in a moment. One of the slides that I show regularly, and as Margareta said, it's about kind of repeating some of these things in a positive way, is how good the UK is at Arctic science, or what I should say, how good researchers based in the UK are at Arctic science. And that's particularly because they are very good at international collaboration. They are very good at finding co-authors and co-investigators outside the UK and applying jointly for funding. And we're very conscious that one of the reasons why researchers based in the UK are very good and are very productive is because they have these international partnerships. So we don't take these for granted, but we are very much here to support these now and in the future. As you will know, the UK has a range of very capable Arctic research infrastructure and facilities. Some of these, like our ships and planes, operate in Antarctica as well as the Arctic. But then there are other assets, like the UK's Arctic station in Svalbard, which is specific, obviously, to the Arctic. And wherever possible, what we try and do is connect early career researchers and others to opportunities at these facilities. You'll see an artist's impression of the new ship there, the Sir David Attenborough. Sir David Attenborough is currently just off the coast of Portugal, heading down to Antarctica, and will be there in the Falklands in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then on into Antarctica. We're very conscious that this is a big new vessel, and this is her first season south. But we know that in the future, in order to make the most of the vessel and her capabilities, we will need to partner internationally in using that vessel. And I'm very hopeful there will be opportunities for all kinds of researchers at early career stage and beyond to have experience of that ship, and to kind of to see what she can do, so that people start their careers with a sense of what the ship can do, even if they're not specifically working on a specific project. So that's one of the things that's in our minds. So I'm also mentioned the UK's Arctic Station, and as Margareta said, this is one of the two that's within Interact. We are hoping to have a normal season at the station next year after being severely disrupted with COVID for the last couple of years. I won't go into the detail about the station because it's worth a presentation in itself, but all the information you could need about working at the station, about where it is and how you apply and what we can support, is here on this website and through these links. It is a very popular station, but it's not full up every season. So if you have a good idea and you would like to apply through Interact, or if you are based in the UK, or if you are based outside the UK, but you could work with a UK partner, then please do think about using the station. It is incredibly versatile. It's open from early March to the end of August, and beyond if need be. And we really can support a really wide range of marine, terrestrial, atmospheric, all kinds of different environmental science. You can be there in a day and a half or so from the UK. You can stay a week, get your science done, hopefully, and then go again. And it's not an expensive place to visit. So please do think about using the station. It's here for, it's basically open to everyone in the world. If you're based in the UK, it's open to you. If you can work with a UK partner, it's open to you. And if you can apply through Interact, it's open to you. So it really is for everyone. So please do think about using the station. Just moving on. I also wanted to mention Mosaic quickly. I mean, Mosaic has finished now. We understand that. But as an example of the kinds of big projects that we want to connect people to, I thought it was worth putting it up here as an example, particularly because of the 7 teams from people based in the UK that joined the vessel over the course of the year. There was quite a large portion of people who were relatively early career stage who were joining that expedition. And that's a fantastic example, I think, of how even on a really big, international, expensive project like this, there are opportunities for people at a relatively early career stage. And there was also a student cruise that ran alongside the Mosaic expedition. So as these things happen again in the future, then that's very much our focus, is to make sure it's available to everyone. And I also want to mention a new research program that's developing at the moment between the UK and Canada, and it's particularly in partnership with Inuit communities in the north of Canada. So this is a whole new approach that we've been trialing. The applications for this have now closed. But we hope over the course of the next 3 years, there will be a really large range of projects that happen in the north of Canada that are partnerships between the UK, Canada, and Inuit researchers themselves, doing the work equally, being funded equally, owning the data equally, having the responsibility for assessment and delivery equally. And I think increasingly this is the way that some of our Arctic research is going to go in the future, where there are appropriate opportunities to link with people who have lived in these regions for a long time and have particular skills and interests. Then that's the way I think some of this will go. So the reason for mentioning it here is that if you're an early career researcher, then I think it will pay you very well if you can build links with communities in the north and think about how to integrate your research and your connections with local communities, because I think this is the way increasingly people will go in the future, and you will have a head start if you have some of those links already. Tatiana, over to you.
Thank you very much, Henry. Hello, everyone. Hope you can hear me all right. So, as Henry mentioned, I head the UK Science Innovation Network in Russia, based at British Embassy Moscow, and I also lead on Arctic work in my team. So I've been working very closely with our partners in the UK, the NERC Arctic office, and I thought it would be quite helpful to maybe just give a brief intro on what UK Science Innovation Network is, or SIN, as an acronym, the official one that we use. So that map gives you an idea of the number of UK Science Innovation offices working across the globe. So it's about 112 people based in about 50 countries. The network is a global one, and it was set up about 20 years ago by two UK departments. It was BFCO then and BEIS, Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. And the key aim of the network is facilitating, building and strengthening mutually beneficial science partnerships, links between the UK science community and science community in the host country. So in my case, this is Russia. So there are colleagues like myself working across the globe, facilitating those links and making sure that there are more practical collaborations and partnerships, research networks. That we are obviously focusing on the science innovation priorities set up by the UK government. But as I mentioned, we're obviously looking at the strengths, interests, and priorities in a given country to make sure that we can start building those links. So we've been working very closely, obviously, with universities, research centres, and then a number of other colleagues in the UK and Russia. And Arctic research is one of our priority strands in the SIN Russia team. Next slide, Henry. Thank you. So this slide hopefully gives you a brief overview of some of the key directions of our Arctic work. I won't get to read out what's on this slide because I think it's sort of self-explanatory, but I just wanted to stress that we are doing that work very much in partnership with our colleagues, the NERC Arctic office, but also a number of our wonderful partners such as UK Polar Network, Apex Russia, and colleagues based at UK and Russian research institutions, universities and beyond, and international partners as well. And the focus is very much on practical collaborations, mutually beneficial partnerships, research networks. Next slide, please. Okay. Thank you, Henry. So I can't possibly talk about every single fantastic event, new partnership or collaboration that we've helped to generate, support, or develop over the past 4 years. So I've just included loads of images here, just to give you a sense of the things that we've been doing. So I've been supporting, again, together with the NERC Arctic office and partners, a lot of the new bilateral research networks and collaborations as though that involved also events and activities, both in the UK and Russia, lots of workshops, conferences, training opportunities, as hopefully some of these images convey. Both kind of early career researchers and researchers at different stages of their careers. Some of the examples I could give, the DIMA network that we've been working closely with, but there'll be multiple other examples of that. Next slide, please. We've also focused quite a lot on the bilateral Arctic marine science links recently. Again, a number of workshops helping to build links to make sure that colleagues can look at potential opportunities to jointly use research infrastructure in the Russian Arctic, publish research pieces together and start thinking about research work, but also training opportunities. Just last week, together with the NERC Arctic office and our partners, UK Marine Biological Association and Lomonosov Moscow State University, we've delivered a session at the World Congress of Marine Stations that very much focused on, again, introducing people to each other, networking, building links in the Arctic marine research community. And it was a really successful event, and we hope to see some follow-up from that in the coming months. Next slide, please. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, so I will not talk in detail about the early career research links, but I just want to say that it's been a real pleasure to work with UK Polar Network and Apex Russia, our colleagues on this call, to support and help develop this fruitful partnership, long-standing partnership between the two national committees of APEX and particularly the field courses, the Arctic field courses. I was really fortunate to join both of them, happened in 2019, 2020. I think these have been a real highlight, and I'm just really pleased that this collaboration continues, and I hope it will continue to 2022 with more exciting projects and exchanges. Next slide, please. I just also wanted to mention that we, together with my colleague Rosa Degerman, who is an officer based in Helsinki, we've been doing quite a lot of work at international conferences, providing platforms for UK-based scientists, Russian scientists and international scientists to have a dialogue, to exchange knowledge, to share ideas, to do networking. So these are some of the examples from some of the conferences at University of the Arctic Congress in 2018, Arctic Science Summit Week, Arctic Circle, Arctic Frontiers, so a few of those. I just want to say that obviously we are looking at 2020 and hoping to have some more fruitful engagements potentially around the University of the Arctic Congress in 2022, which is to be held in Moscow under Russia's Arctic Council chairmanship. Next slide, please. Henry, I think it's over to you actually on the batteries.
Perfect. Thanks, Tatiana. So yes, one of the things we're really keen to do is to make sure we can connect people as practically as possible. So we had a program that ran in between 2019 and 2020, looking at providing relatively small amounts of money to connect researchers in the UK and Russia together, funding travel between the two, and also some kind of science itself. That was affected by COVID in 2020, of course, but actually there's been really strong links, nevertheless, forged through those bursary programs and through those connections. So we're very confident that this will lead to further work in the future. And we've recently heard that some of that work is going to continue and be supported in further ways through university grants and other routes. So that's really something that we're keen to see more of in the future if we can possibly get that to happen. We've also been running a series of. Sorry, Tatiana, are you happy that I talk about this, or would you like to? Yeah, we've also been running a fantastic series of webinars, which have been organised by Tatiana and supported by us here in the NERC Arctic office, to really highlight some of the work in different parts of Russia, particularly to make links between those researchers and researchers in the UK who might be hearing for the first time about the fantastic work and the opportunities and the connections that there can be, and the data sets and the monitoring and all those kinds of things. So we've had 4 of them so far, with Kolar Science Center, Yugoslavia State University, Tomsk, and the Open Oceans Project. And we're very keen to have more of these. So if you've got good ideas, if you've got an institution you'd like to profile, but equally if you'd like to know more about another institution, let us know, and we can have more of these. I think these have been really very well attended and influential as well. We've also been working very hard earlier on this year to have a special edition of the Marine Biologist magazine, which is the in-house magazine of the Marine Biological Association down in Plymouth. And so we were really pleased to be able to showcase lots of the work that's happened recently in Russia and with UK researchers in this special edition of the Marine Biologist. So this is available online, I think, still. And we also have some hard copies if people would like them. Just let us know and we'll get some in the post to you. So this is a really important way of showcasing the work, but also kind of stirring up ideas and getting people thinking about new opportunities. So we're very pleased to be able to do this. Tatiana, do you want to take this one?
Thank you, Henry. I was just also really keen to flag this practical opportunity, a new one that's just been launched. And it's a great opportunity that some of you might actually be interested in. if you are a researcher based in Russia. So that's a new program, UK-Russia postgraduate research fellowships program for Russian early career female researchers. It has been launched through our Culture and Education section, British Embassy in Moscow. And this is an opportunity to spend between 3 to 9 months at a UK university research institution, working on a research project under UK supervision. And the costs that can be covered is not just the travel costs, but also costs related to the research project itself, for instance, consumables, use of lab equipment, etc. This is open to PhD students and postdocs at Russian research centers, research institutes, and universities. And the deadline for submissions is the 8th of December, still a bit of time. If you're interested, there is a link at the bottom of that slide. The webpage itself, just don't be alarmed if you check it out and you're not a Russian speaker, because the webpage itself is in Russian, but at the bottom of that, you've got all the application paperwork in English that's downloadable, and it gives out more detail about the kind of terms and conditions and the requirements. So I hope that if you're interested, you could just go and check it out. Thank you. Oh, it's back to me again, is it, Henry? Would you like me to cover that?
Yes, please. Yeah.
So also, if you remember that big slide, given some of the strands of Arctic work, there was science columns in there, Arctic science columns, and that's also a big part of our work in the SEEN network. And again, that's another really important element of a productive collaboration with the NERC Arctic Office and partners in the UK and Russia. This is just one example of a digital campaign on Arctic research, where we focused on producing some really bright, kind of visually interesting looking infographics that focus on UK Arctic research capabilities. For example, the new polar research vessel, our participation in the Mosaic expedition, and others. And these were posted on social media. We've been doing that work together with the British Antarctic Survey, NERC Arctic Office, and it's been great kind of to have those out. And you can see from the stats on social media, these were really well received. And again, through these digital campaigns where we tell stories of research projects through videos or for interesting visuals on social media, we feel that it is also helping to support some of the networking efforts and build links, in fact, between the research communities in the two countries.
And then just to finish off with a couple of slides here, one of the things that you can do that will be most helpful to you if you want to find out about these opportunities as they arise is to sign up for our mailing list, which you can do through our website, which is arctic.ac.uk. You won't get deluged with lots of information, but you will hear about these opportunities, new bursaries, new travel, new conferences, new webinars first through that route, and also through our Twitter channel. So if you're interested, please do sign up. It's well worthwhile. And with that, I'll just put up our contact details. So as I said, we're very happy to hear from you if you've got ideas or questions, or you would like support, or we can connect you to anyone. Please do let us know. That's absolutely what we are here to do. We're here to support you as much as we are anyone else. So please do get in contact, and happy to answer any questions. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Henry and Tatiana. So do we have any questions? You can raise your hand or type in the chat box. Well, I think I'll get started. The bursary program that you ran in 2020 sounds really exciting. It was really interesting when I first saw it. Do you think you might be running something similar in the future?
We hope so. We don't have any confirmed plans, but I think once we can be confident that travel is a bit easier between the UK and Russia, then we'll press the funders hard again to recreate that kind of program. particularly because it has been very successful so far. So we can point to the success of the previous program, and for really not a lot of money, just a few £1,000s for each bursary, you can make a real big impact and really get people started on collaboration and sort of building confidence in working with each other, but actually also on genuine, worthwhile bits of science as well. So yeah, as soon as we're confident that we can get going again, then we'll press hard. But it's not money that we control directly, so it's not up to us just to spend it. We have to ask other people for it. But yes, we'll certainly be asking them for it and getting it restarted if we possibly can. Is that fair, Tatiana?
Yes, absolutely. I can only echo, Henry, what you've just said. I think it was, despite the pandemic, I think it was a really impactful program, just demonstrated again how much you can actually do with even smaller grants in terms of support mobility and new collaborations, so that people can actually start working together, have a bit of brainstorming in the same room to think about potential new ideas, have a look at sampling sites and all of that. And I think it can help people make a really strong start in their collaboration. So we'll certainly be looking into future opportunities for similar schemes when things get a bit easier with COVID.
It's brilliant. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Well, I've got one more. I suppose this was more aimed at Tatiana. The SYN network is a brilliant opportunity. If an early career researcher is wanting to start their own collaborative research project, how can they access this network? And is the SYN network able to put this scientist in touch with scientists in Russia?
Thank you very much, Ben. I think the answer to that is I can speak for SYN Research. Obviously, we try to do a number of events, activities, currently mostly online, but these events are open to UK-based researchers, and we usually advertise widely together with the NERC Arctic office and partners to make sure that interested colleagues are able to join. And most of these events, they focus very much on bringing people together, building practical links and collaborations, making sure that people can, for example, get direct access to leading research institutions. They can start discussing potential ideas and see whether there are any mutual interests and priorities. That's something I think that the webinars have been really helpful over the past year or so. So I think basically my advice would be maybe to get signed up for the Apex Russia UKPN distribution list to start with, because we work very closely with you and colleagues to make sure that we promote widely and just staying tuned for future events, because they obviously will be different in terms of themes and focus. And I suppose that people would have their own interests, but I think this is a really good opportunity to get started. And I think these webinar series actually is another really good way of networking and start now, really. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Thank you. We have got another question in the chat box. Thank you so much for the presentation. Do you think there is a possibility to support the activities such as the Arctis Field School in the future?
That's Henry, that's okay. I'll probably try and take this one, but feel free to jump in. So obviously the Arctis field courses, they were supported through the international program through British Embassy Moscow. And it was a really great project, which I thought was really, really impactful. I think that would largely depend on future calls for projects and similar opportunities. I think at the moment I probably won't be in a position to comment on whether we would have another similar call, but I hope that there will be good opportunities in 2022 for scientific links between the two countries. There'll be more things hopefully coming out in the next few months, but I probably just won't say more on this at the moment. But we're hopeful that there will be more opportunities to support things, and we're certainly always very keen to talk to colleagues and discuss ideas and just keep channels of communication open.
That's brilliant. Thank you. So if we don't have any more questions, we will bring this session to an end. We'd like to thank you everyone for coming along today. If you do have any other questions, do feel free to get in touch with any of today's presenters. I'd also like to thank today's presenters. That's Margareta Johansson, Tatiana Ayakoleva, and Henry Burgess. And I'll just finish off by saying that our next webinar is on the 16th of December, where we will be exploring how to overcome cultural and language barriers in collaborative research projects. And we hope to see you then. Thank you very much.